A man must be alive in the spirit to carry out priesthood. Sometimes the father shows up, and what he wants to do with you is to shift dimension with flow. So two people can stand and see a lady who is half naked. One sees a Rahab, another one sees a sex object. The reason is because they are trafficking different spirit. They are discerning vibrations of different spirit. Because if you have discerned the presence, you will see that God came that morning as a burden. Because what the father came to do was to share with you his heartbeat. He has seen Gwagwalada, the sins and the abortion is too much. So the father is weeping, and he came to share that burden with you. So when you appeared in the presence that morning, you came to share the burden of the father. Remember, the first thing that happens to you is to discern his movement. And when you master that movement, you carry it to your world. You carry it to your world. So your life becomes an expression of the spontaneous heartbeats of the Father. What God is doing part-time becomes the manifestation of your daily existence. This is priesthood. So you don't come and just start shouting. You come and you discern the presence. And that's why a man must be alive in the spirit to carry out priesthood. When a man stays in the presence, that presence begins to teach him. So the first thing about priesthood is the ability to master the presence by tarrying and staying there. You discern the presence. You understand the vibrations of God. And what that vibration does is that it begins to change and reshape your spiritual structure. And a point will come where even if you are in a crowd, you can know what God is doing. A point will come where in the midst of crisis, you can pick the frequency of God. Paul was in the midst of a shipwreck. Fear had gripped them. They had not eaten for 14 days. Yet Paul was able to pick those frequencies. Paul was able to pick those vibrations. And he said, just last night, the angel of the Lord was with me here, whose I am. He said, and he said to me that there will be no loss of life. How was he able to pick the frequency of God in the midst of crisis? He has mastered the presence. It was Paul that entered the city, and he said the Holy Ghost stirred him, having seen that the city was godless. So he came into a city. He was just going around like every other person, trying to admire the city. And in that movement, he was able to pick God's vibration. Paul was going to place of worship. In Acts 16 verse 16, a young damsel came out and said, this be the servants of God that teach us the word of salvation. Natural response for people who discern from emotion will be excited and say, okay, God don't make our work easy. And you now come and say, you know, we are apostles of the Most High God. Hope you know this lady was famous in that land. They respected her, but Paul is not moved. There is something that is more real to Paul than every other thing happening around him. And after many days, he said Paul was grieved in his spirit. He was grieved. But we, if you are even in a conversation and the person changes his or her mood, you will show the person first that don't dare me. You can discern mood change and mood swing even before they talk. If you are with somebody and he makes his face somehow, you can already pick the vibration. How come we are so sensitive to sensual things? It's because there's no priesthood. If you have priesthood, you can meet a harlot, and instead of being stirred in the wrong direction, you will bring judgment and you will save somebody. Priests are men that have mastered the presence of God. The reason is because they stayed there so too long that if God as much as smile, they can pick it. The apostles came back in Luke chapter 10 verse 21, celebrating that demons were subject to them. And Jesus said, do not celebrate that the demons are subject to you, but rejoice that your name has been written in the book of life. And he said Jesus rejoiced in the spirit. Jesus rejoiced. What was that? These men had a robust life on the inside that was many times heavier than what happens around them.